Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Steps Edit podcast. I am your host, Stephen B. I'm so glad you all took a moment to just hang out with your boy for a little while this evening. So, for those of you who are watching me on the playback, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is that you decided to jump on in and see what we got going on. Once again, this is the Steps Edit podcast. I'm so excited about what we have going on at this time. For those of you who have been following me this month, you know we started off this month talking about breast cancer awareness. But October is also domestic abuse awareness or domestic violence awareness month. And so I wanted to bring in some resources. I wanted to bring in somebody who could kind of help me out. I do have a letter to read tonight. And so I have a good friend of mine who jumped on. I literally made a call about an hour ago. I sent her a message saying, hey, can you be podcast ready in an hour? And so she graciously accepted my invitation. She has been on the show before a few months ago. We were having conversations about relationships and things like that. And I'm trying to, you ready? Because I'm finna bring you on the screen. You look like you sleep. You ready? All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, please welcome to the show my friend, sister from another Miss Melinda Joyner.
Hi, Stephen. Hi, everyone.
How you
I'm
doing?
good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks again for this this last second jump on. We'll talk about. I'll settle up my bill. I know. We'll straighten it out.
I'm pretty passionate about this topic, so I made time. I'm pretty passionate about this, so I made time for you.
I appreciate it. So listen, I know that you have a tight schedule because you are literally squeezing me in.
Yes.
And so again, thank you so much. I had your homegirl on the show last week. You know, last week I had Linda on the show.
What?
And she was
I
talking
messed
about her experience, her journey. So you can go back and watch it on playback.
Okay.
But we can talk about all of that offline.
Yes.
But I do want to go ahead and jump into this letter that we have for tonight's show. And so I'm kind of operating off of multiple devices because when I set up my slide presentation, it did a little something wonky on the screen, and so I want to be able to read the entire letter. So here we go.
All right.
Dear Steps Edit team, I hope this message reaches you well. My name is John, and I'm writing to you as a deeply concerned brother during Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I'm reaching out not just for myself, but for my sister and her 6-year-old daughter, who I fear are in an abusive relationship, and it pains me to see her endure emotional and physical turmoil. Let me move this closer to me. You know, when you get older, you can't see. Despite my efforts to support her and encourage her to seek help, she constantly insists that her partner loves her and that he won't hurt her again. It's heartbreaking to watch her dismiss her own pain, and I worry not only for her safety, but also for the safety of her daughter. I want to help them both, but I often feel lost in how to approach the situation without pushing her further away. I'm reaching out to see if you might have any resources, advice, or strategies that could empower me to support her effectively. I want to create a safe space for her to share her feelings and experiences without fear of judgment or repercussion. If you could point me towards organizations or hotlines that specialize in domestic violence, or offer any tips on how to communicate with her in a way that she feels safe, I would be incredibly grateful. Thank you for your time to read my letter. Your podcast has been a source of inspiration, and I hope to find guidance through your platform. So I do want to put in this disclaimer. As much as I appreciate you all for sending me these letters and reaching out to me for this content, I am not a counselor. I am not a therapist. I am just a guy who is very passionate about his opinions, and I have a lot of life experience. So a lot of times when I'm telling y'all my opinion, that is literally what it is. It is my opinion. I'm telling you What I would do if I were in this situation, and so uh, somebody who can provide more of a viable or reliable resource in this. Now, I could have gone to, the World Wide Web. I could have gone to Google and I could have figured it out and found it and all of that. But when you know people who operate in this realm, you reach out to them and you hope that all they're going to charge you is a pan John sandwich and it is Ruby. That's all.
That's right.
So before we dig into the letter, there are a couple of things that I do want us to address real quick. The first thing the first question I have is, how can someone identify if they are in an abusive relationship? And the reason why I'm asking this question is because, sometimes we think domestic abuse and domestic violence is isolated just to physical abuse. And so, there are instances where you could be in an abusive relationship and not have any quote unquote physical scars. And so, as a counselor, as a therapist, what are some resources, or what are some, not resources, what are some identifiers that people can look out for to determine if they or someone they are connected to are in a abusive relationship?
So that's a great question, Stephan. So a lot of times, in domestic violence covers anybody, man, woman, children, because a lot of our children are in domestic situations as well. But if you're in a relationship, and this can be a romantic relationship, this can be a friendship, this can be any kind of ship you might find yourself in, and you don't feel safe, you feel physically abused, which that means somebody is literally hitting you or pushing you or shoving you, even if they're using objects to hit you with. If you are sexually abused, and sexually abused mean if somebody is forcing you to have sex against your will, that is abuse. If you are being verbally abused, if they are calling you out of your name, if your name is Susie and they calling you whore, bitch, slut, that is abuse. Like, I don't care how cute you might think it is abusive language towards you. Or it can be financially. If they are controlling your money to be able to control you, that is abuse. Or mentally, if you are somebody continuously doing things, it could be people don't even recognize, like, if you are a person that is communicating, they know you like to communicate, and this person
I lost you, Melinda. All right, stand by. Looks like we're having some technical difficulties. Hold on.
what just happened? Okay.
I don't know. I lost you, and
Okay.
then you pop back in.
Okay. So if this person is walking around the house with do, and it's past the normal of we're mad, we're not talking, like, that is mental abuse. That could be a sign of mental abuse, because you want to talk, you want to communicate, and they are just walking around the house ignoring you, acting like you don't even exist. That is abusive behaviors. So if you find yourself in any of those, then you may want to do yourself a checklist, because a lot of times we stay in relationships or ships too long, way too long, way past the expiration date. We stay in them too long for several reasons, for financial reasons, for reasons that I just don't want to start over all over again, or for reasons that it really ain't that bad. If you have to tell yourself that, you might want to question the relationship that you're in. So domestic violence, like I said, it can happen to anybody. I don't care how strong-minded you may think you are, how independent you may think you are, how beautiful you may think you are, or even unattractive that you may think you are. Domestic violence do not have any criteria on it.
So, and you have really like unfolded like all of these layers because um again, a lot of times it's a situation where it could be classified as a abusive situation, but in your mind, because there are no physical scars or there's no physical contact, then I'm okay, or I can work
Right,
through it. It's
right,
not that bad, but it may not be affecting you physically, but it could be affecting your mental health. And so,
right.
things like physical abuse and sexual abuse, yes, those are the things that are more obvious. They're more on the outward side of it.
Mm-hmm.
But mental abuse, emotional abuse. To be honest, I
Right.
was today years old when I heard the term financial abuse. Like, how you gonna abuse me financially?
Mhm.
Like, how you?
It's very easy. It's very
Well,
easy.
and so, okay, so I have a very short window with you, and so I do want to go ahead and jump into the letter. And so
Okay.
I did go ahead and send you a copy of it, so you would kind of know what's going on. So basically, what we have here
Yes.
is we have a young man who sees his loved one, his sister, who is in an abusive relationship, and he's not only concerned for his sister, but he's also concerned for her 6-year-old daughter.
Right.
And so, although he did not identify the type of abuse, we can just kind of tackle all of what it could possibly be. It could be physical abuse. It could be sexual abuse. It could be financial abuse. This man just ain't giving her no money. That's terrible. But all of these things. Um, so what should his initial approach be? And I have some notes. I have some things that I want to cover, but I want you as the expert. So we're gonna kind of play this like Cheryl Strawberry and Steve Harvey. So I'm gonna let you give your point of view first, and then I'm gonna Steve Harvey this thing after you got to go. But, hello?
Okay. So I am, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you
It
hear
must
me?
be a delay. Yes,
Okay.
I hear
Okay.
you.
So I am a therapist, and as a therapist, is it going in and out?
You good. See, this is gonna be
I'm gonna
good
do it from my
information.
phone.
Yeah, this is gonna be some good information because we running into some opposition. I see what this is. I see you, devil.
uh
You ain't gonna stop my flow today. Okay, we gonna talk about this.
okay. So I'm going to do it on my phone.
Okay.
And
You,
maybe we'll be better.
how did you sign in on Facebook or YouTube? Did you sign in using Facebook or
Um
YouTube?
no, I just did it from the okay, I'm finna log off on the
Okay.
computer.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So we are working through some technical difficulties. So you all please bear with me. And once again, I literally reached out to Melinda at the last second, and I wanted her to jump on, and so she has another meeting at it's 6:30 her time, but it's 8:30 my time. But so she jumped on to do this, and so we didn't have a chance to really do my tech run like I normally do. But I think we are back in. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I hear you loud and clear.
Okay, so we're good. So,
Okay.
so just to recap the question, so what are some of the things that he can do to just kind of provide support for his sister, to help her out in this process?
Okay. So a couple of things that kind of struck me in this letter, and I am a therapist, and as a therapist, what therapists do not tell you what to do.
Mm-hmm,
Therapists give you the information, and we help support you in what it is that you want to do.
mm-hmm,
And so um, I'm telling you this from a therapist perspective.
mm-hmm,
If you do, for him, a couple of things that I noticed. He have a 6-year-old niece, and he said hurt her again. Anytime that you have been hurt before, and they say it'll never happen again, never, that is not a guarantee. Even if you do something and you say, "Oh, I'll never do that again," what we always say never.
mm-hmm,
So, a couple of things that he can do is he can just talk to her as a brother, as a loved one, and ask her just some simple questions. Would you want your daughter to be with the kind of man that you're with?
mm,
Simple
that's
question.
good.
He can also come from a more personal perspective and say about his own experience of being with somebody that he knew they wasn't the one, or somebody that he saw some signs or symptoms in them that just wasn't going to be, it wasn't a good fit for him.
Mm-hmm,
So he can come from that perspective as well. And then the other perspective is he can also ask her, um, why do you feel like he won't do it again? Because nowadays, especially, we are seeing more and more women and men being killed by their partners,
mm-hmm,
and it's all because, and every time you see it they say, "Oh, I never thought that he would do that." But nowadays people are not managing their emotions in a healthy way, and so they probably don't intend to kill you, but how can you do it again if you already did? So you don't get a second chance after you're already gone, and
right.
sorry is not going to bring that person back. So one thing he can ask her to do, even if she never use it, she can always call a domestic violence place to get a safety plan. And what a safety plan does is they will just do a little screening with you to see what kind of situation you're in, what kind of violence is going on, and how you can protect yourself. Because when we're in, especially intimate relationships, these people know our patterns. And when they know your patterns, you have to do something outside of your pattern to kind of catch them off guard. So if you feeling like, I mean, he feeling like he can just ask her, "Well, sister, won't you just do this just for the sake of just doing it? Even if you don't need it, just do it, a safety plan." There are several domestic violence shelters and resources, especially in Mississippi, and then there's a national one. And so I did provide Stephen with those resources.
Mm-hmm,
Catholic Charities, I'm very familiar with them. I worked with Catholic Charities for over 10 years when I was in Mississippi, and they provide great resources. They have 24/7 hotline, where you're going to always get a live person to be able to help you in your situation. So don't feel like you're in this alone. Plus, the first thing you should do is call 911. But if you don't feel like it's an emergency and you just want to be able to get a safety plan or talk to somebody you're not really sure, you can always call one of domestic violence shelters or domestic violence hotlines. There is, if this person is not in Mississippi, there is a national domestic hotline, which Stephen, hopefully you'll post or you'll put that information on your page that I sent for you. And so you can always text, you can go, you can do online, or you can call. The one thing about domestic violence is people can really check your data to see if you're going on hotlines and different things like that. So if you feel unsafe about, your cookies or whatever, I'm not a techie person. So
Yes.
your, your search engine and all that
Yep.
kind of stuff, you can always call them. You can always call 911, and you don't have to necessarily say, I need help. You can give codes like, so are you sending a pizza over? You can just talk in codes, and they are trained to be able to assist you in those situations.
Mhm.
If he feels like his sister is not making good decisions for his niece, the other thing he can do is he can always contact CPS in whatever state he's in, and CPS will get involved to be able to make sure that his niece is safe. A lot of times people say, well, my sister is going to be mad with me, or my family member is going to be upset with me. I'd rather you be upset with me than me not to have you in my life, period.
Mhm.
So you can always dial, you can look up CPS, you can Google CPS, which CPS stands for Child Protective Services.
Mhm.
And so to be able to help. But the one thing I will say to John is don't stop trying. Come to her with a no judgment. Come to her with just being able to open and be willing to listen, even if it's painful. Be willing to listen. I did see where you said hurt her again, and definitely she will get hurt again, even if it's emotionally. She will get hurt again, because if this person hurt you one time, they definitely will hurt you again. Because one thing with domestic violence is, if I do something to you one time and you don't leave me, then you are telling me that it's okay to do it to you again. And the next time, what people do is they do a little bit more. Domestic
Mhm.
violence is usually not about that person. Domestic violence is about the abuser not being able to manage their own emotions, the abuser's history, the abuser's probably the way they grew up. It's not necessarily, oh, well, she's not loving me enough. I mean, seriously, you have to start loving yourself.
Mhm.
So, or she's not doing enough for me. Domestic violence is about the person that is doing the violence against the other person. So don't feel like, oh, I can love him enough to be able to change his behavior. You cannot love somebody to change somebody's behavior. That is not love. And if you have to love them to change their behavior, then what does that say about that person?
Right.
So I would suggest to John, don't stop trying to talk to your sister, but just find different ways. You can always, just text her, or, you okay. I don't know if the daughter have, access to communication, like the tablets and the different things like that. But she can always, make sure that her daughter knows emergency numbers to call. Or you can even ask your niece, like, do you know my number? Like,
Mhm.
just give her, make sure she knows people that she can call in an emergency situation.
Right. Right. So all of this was really, really good information. I have 2 more minutes with you because I know
I
you
know
got.
I'm talking really, really fast,
I know you got to get to your meeting.
but
So
yes.
thank you again. I think what I'm gonna do is
Let's do it again, Stefan, so that
yeah,
we can do a little bit more coverage, especially
absolutely.
about this topic.
Absolutely. I don't want to minimize it to just 1 month because this is a huge it's
It's
a
an
huge
issue.
topic. And
Yes.
one of the things that I really wanted to get in and tackle is domestic violence in children and
Yes.
things like date rape and all of those things. Um the rules and regs when you go out, like how to avoid certain situations and how to avoid certain circumstances. So I really want to jump into that topic. And so
Yes.
thank you so very much for being, you get big claps, big claps, big claps. Thank you so much for jumping on. I know I gotta let you go now. Just let me know when you're in town so I can square up my bill, so
Yes.
we can just have
Yes.
and we'll be talking again. So just kind of
Absolutely.
we're gonna stay connected, and we're gonna kind of pull the resources together. We'll probably do this again at some point during the month of November,
Okay.
because I
Just
don't stay out too long.
make sure you put the resources up while you're talking at some point so John can be able to get the resources, because I did do for the national and for Jackson, Mississippi, and for anybody else in Jackson. Like if you got to question your relationship, then you may be in an abusive relationship.
Yeah,
And for the parents, make sure you talk to your children and let them know that it's not okay. You need to read their text messages. You need to see how their boyfriends and girlfriends are talking to them, because our children are being abused. They are being abused severely, and
yeah,
they thinking that it is cute, or they thinking that it is the way things should be, and that is not how relationships are. And if
right,
we don't teach them now, then they grow up to be abused adults.
right. So I'm gonna tell you this, and then I'm gonna go on and kick you out the room because you ain't gonna blame me for being late to your next meeting.
Okay.
But Linda is watching, and she said, "Hey, and it's so good to see you." So
Oh,
y'all gonna have to connect. But listen,
yes.
go ahead. I'm kicking you out the room. I love you so much. Thank you
I
again
love you too,
for being on
Stefan.
the
Bye
show. We'll
bye.
talk. All right. So again, that was my friend Melinda Joyner. She has to leave to go get on another. She has to go to another meeting or attend another meeting. But I'm so grateful that she took the time to jump on. So now let's talk to John. John, sir, God bless you. Number one, I commend you so much. Thank you for reaching out to the show to have this conversation. Now, I do have some people who are watching. This is what I'm gonna ask y'all to do. I'm gonna ask you all, for those of you who are watching on my personal page, because you all are dropping some very good comments, but you're dropping them on my personal page. If you would please be so kind as to jump on to the Steps Edit page, and we can I can put your comments on the screen, because on my personal page they don't show up on the program, and so I can't put them on the screen. So if you would be so kind as to jump on to the Steps Edit page so that we can show, because I'm gonna be on probably for about another 20 minutes. As long as y'all dialoguing with me, I may open my phone lines tonight. I might put the link in the description, and if anybody else want to jump in and talk about it, we can do all of that. I'm open to all of it because there are so many stories out here in dealing with domestic violence. These stories need to be told. These stories need to be heard, and the biggest thing that I think we need resources, and we need to be able to talk to our children. We need to be able to talk to our loved ones, especially when we see these situations. We need to be able to communicate this with them and say, "Hey, you don't have to deal with this. You don't have to suffer through this. Like we can work through this together." And so here we go, John. These are a couple of things that I just wanted to pinpoint based on your letter. The first thing, and this was one of the things the notes that I have. Hold on, somebody, Lord, I thought I was going to have to fight. Okay, somebody, my child coming in my house. That's all. I just hold on. Okay, yeah, that's my child. All right. So the first thing is you want to make sure you listen to what she's saying, and as much as you can, validate her feelings, validate her concerns. You don't want to dismiss it. You don't want to act like this is not a real situation. You don't want to act like this is not a problem. You want to make sure that, who are they? Oh, wow. You want to make sure that she feels supported and that she feels like if she's not safe anywhere else, that she feels safe with you. So always, please make sure that you have the time or you carve out the time and you just listen to her because she just may need to vent. She just may need to get it out. She may need to just express. And every conversation may not necessarily require a solution. Every conversation may not necessarily require that you start beating her across the head with all of these resources. Sometimes you just need to be that listening ear and that safe space that she knows I can always if I can't go nowhere else, I can go to my brother. The second thing is you do want to provide information. You do want to let her know, hey, you are you don't have to deal with this and you don't have to take this. And these are the ways that I can help you, and these are things that you can do. The other part of let me go back to my first point. The other part of that validation point is let her know that she's worth more than what she's dealing with. Let her know that she really is loved. Now, I know there's a difference between romantic love that she may be getting from her abuser and the brotherly love that you would have for her. There are ways that her romancer or her abuser is touching her that I hope and pray that you are not, because that's a different show altogether. We ain't talking about that. There's a different type of security that he should be providing her in a romantic situation versus what you would be providing her in a brotherly situation. But you do want to make sure that you validate to her, you are loved, you are beautiful, you are worth more than this. You don't have to put up with this. Put some respect on my name, baby. You are, in my case, if I had a sister, baby, you're a Brandon. Brandons don't deal like that. Like Brandons don't put up with that. We worth more than that. Our stock is a whole lot higher than that. And so we don't have to put up with the ruffians and the rapscallions and all of that. We don't have to put up with that. You're worth more. And so you do want to provide her with information, provide her with resources. I'm gonna put all of the information up at the end of the show. So for those of you who are watching, and even John, if you're tuned in, you can grab these resources. Something else that is very important is you want to have an escape plan. I think about the movie Enough. For those of you who have not seen it, it's with Jennifer Lopez. But Enough it's a great movie that talks about just kind of the psychological and emotional things that an abuser can put a woman through. And one of the things that she did when she moved out of her house, and she had a very strategic escape plan so that if she was ever in a situation where she got in trouble, she knew how to get out of the house quickly with her daughter. She knew how to get to where she needed to go. And even to the point where she had another vehicle that once she got away, she could get into another vehicle that had a change of clothes. It had, I think it had a cell phone in it. It had some money. It had all the things. So if she got to get out in a hurry, she can go. Um, and okay, so I'm gonna put this on the screen because I don't mind being corrected. Um, Ursula says, as a survivor myself, shout out to the survivor. Kudos, big claps because you survived. I love it. So she says, as a survivor myself, those comments can possibly make her feel even more isolated and ashamed and can put her further into the arms of the abuser. Thank you for correcting me. Once again, that's I don't mind. I've never been in an abusive relationship. Uh although never mind. I've never been in an abusive relationship. And so I don't know what that looks like. And so yes, people like me, I would need to know how statements like that could make the victim feel. So thank you for correcting me. So for those of you who are listening, don't do that. You don't make them shame. Don't make them feel bad, because you do not want to do anything to push them further into the arms of the one that's causing the abuse. And so I was talking about having an escape plan. So in the movie Enough, she had a plan to get out. And when her abuser found her and he ended up in her house, she quickly grabbed her daughter, grabbed her things, and she got out. And so, you want to help your sister develop an escape plan. If it gets too bad, if it gets too rough. When you look at the movie What's Love Got to Do with It, Tina Turner had an escape plan. Now, it wasn't the best plan, but she had a plan. But Ike went and got off the bus, but she had a plan. And so you want to make sure that you have a plan, and that plan is it's able to be executed flawlessly, or as flawlessly as possible. The biggest thing is when it gets to the point where you cannot, where it's just too much, just be safe. Get to a place of safety, and then get to the place of safety. And you gotta, even if you can't be there for yourself, you have to consider your daughter. All right, here we go. So I love dialogue. So the question is, well, Ursula, what are some pointers for John from a survivor's perspective? And the response is, well, you really just want to listen if they are willing to talk. If they do, then ask what they would like to do in the situation. So very good. So you ask, you listen to them, like, okay, so what can I do to help you? What can I do to get you through this? But now I will say, and I'm putting myself in John's shoes. Um, this is my sister. I have some women in my life who I'm very, very close to, who are like sisters to me. Ursula is like a sister to me. Belinda is like a sister to me. Melinda is like a sister to me. And so if I find out that there's a situation, I don't necessarily know that I'm gonna want to talk to my sister, but me and your boy gonna have to, he probably gonna have to see me. He probably gonna have to see me, and we're gonna have a sit down conversation, because what you can't do is you can't put your hands on my sister. Now, the reality is, I also understand that, hold on, I'll put that comment back up in just a second. I also understand that if I approach, and I'm not willing to approach to the point where I put the real fear of God in him, I could make matters worse for my loved one if I if I approach him and then he go home and he take his frustrations out with me on her. So again, I'm not the best person to listen to in all these situations, because yeah, I get it. All right. So Ursula said, they say if they say they wavy out but can't get out, they want out. If they say they want out but can't get out, then let them know that you have access to resources for an escape. Very good. Very good. And so that goes to my next point that I had. Encourage them to seek professional help and connect them with local resources in your area. And so if you have access to those resources, um, absolutely you want to provide that information, as the information is, as the person is open to the information. Once again, you don't want to do anything to put them in a place where they feel judged or they feel shame. Um, So here we go. If you talk to the abuser, it can escalate the abuse. Never address the abuser until after the abused is safe. So basically what you telling me is John need to get his sister out and away and safe. Then he need to go see about your boy. Got it. I'm very clear. Um And the final point that I have, outside of providing the resources and all of that is, John, you're going to have to be patient. You're going to have to be patient, and you're going to have to be prayerful. I hope you know God. I hope you have a relationship with God, because it's going to take a lot of patience, and it's going to take a lot of prayer. And also, you may need to inform others as to what's going on, as much as you can, while maintaining a degree of protecting her confidentiality. But you definitely gonna have to be patient with her. Um, I've heard stories of women who have been in abusive relationships, and the statement is always, "Well, you know, he did this, but he loved me. He did this, but he said he not gonna do it again." Um, and love is a powerful emotion, even if it's based on false information. Love is a powerful emotion. And sometimes there's a scripture in the Bible that says love covers a multitude of faults. And sometimes the fault that you need to see, you're blinded because you love this person so much. And it could not necessarily be because you love the person, but you love what they do, or you love how they make you feel, or how you love the security that they provide, even though you're not very secure with them. I have another comment that is on my personal page that says, an abuser isolates the person being abused. It's hard for women that are being abused to make eye contact. When someone opens up about abuse, don't judge and don't assume they don't want to leave. So, very good point. Um, very good point. And so, John, again, thank you so much for reaching out to the show. Um, I can't imagine. Uh, I can't imagine. My daughter, I do karaoke, plug right here. Karaoke tomorrow night at Buffalo Wild Wings in Ridgeland. I am the host. One of the songs my daughter likes to sing is "I Bust the Windows Out Your Car," and every time she gets to the part where she starts saying, "I bust the windows out your car," I start singing, "I got some bullets in my gun. I got some bullets in my gun, and I don't have a problem giving you one." I mean, I'm just saying, you know, it's a real thing. And so, and so, I understand that, as a person who is very passionate about the people that he loves, I would have to stand down because I wouldn't want to do anything to make the situation worse on my loved one. And so, these are the resources that we have that have been made available. If you need help, you can call 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-7233. You can text the word START to 88788, and then the website is www.thehotline.org. Now, the wonderful thing about this website, and this was one of the things that Melinda mentioned, is sometimes your abuser will look at your browsing history to see if they're checking resources, or they'll check things on your phone to see who you're texting. And the thing about these resources is they are trained not to expose. If you go to the website, www dot what did I say, www.thehotline.org. The thing about that website is it does not leave anything in your browsing history. It does not leave cookies, and all you have to do is, it's the way you have to close it, and it gives you the instructions on the site. If you need to close it safely, you double click. There's a big X in the corner of the main window, not the regular X that you would click to close out all of the windows. But if you click that X, It removes all of the information. The other thing, and this was something else that Melinda mentioned, you can call 911 and order a pizza. This was something that was very prevalent during COVID because there were so many people who were locked in the house with their abuser. And so now I'm in a space where I can't leave, I can't go anywhere. And so what they would do is they would call 911 and order a pizza. And if the person on the other end is listening, if the abuser is listening, all they think you're doing is ordering food, when in actuality you're calling for help. And so then they'll say, if he has a gun, ask for extra cheese. You say, yes, extra cheese would be nice. So then when they're talking to the police, they can let the police know that you're in the house with the abuser and that person has a weapon. And so there are crafty ways that you can do it. Um, the, Again, John, what I would say to you for your sister and for your niece, make sure you have an open line of communication with your niece and you explain to your niece as much as you can, hey, Uncle John is here. And so if you need anything, and if she's 6 years old, she knows how to use a device. She knows how she can probably use a device better than you can. And so, get her a tablet for Christmas. Get her an iPad for Christmas if you got an iPhone, and then FaceTime. These are all things that are resources, and these are things that can be very helpful in working through the situation. The other resources that we have available, and these are local resources. If you're in the Jackson area, Catholic Charities, their telephone number is 601-366-0222. The Mississippi Coalition against domestic violence, 601-981-9196, and the Center for Violence Prevention, 601-932-4198. And so these are all things that are available. You can look up these resources for her at just do a Google search for domestic violence resources, and it'll pull up all of the information um, that you would need. Here we go. This is another comment that has come in. It says, John, please emphasize to your sister how strong and powerful she is as a person as much as you can. So yes, this is very key. You want to encourage her as much as you can. Again, being in the space of an abuser or being in the space with an abuser, it can be very disheartening and very depressing, I would imagine. Never been there, never had to deal with it, thank God. But you want to make sure that as much as you can, that you are encouraging her, that you let her know that you are there for her, that you love her. And there's a phrase that very, very good friend of mine, she's like a sister to me. She actually works for the Mississippi Coalition Against Domestic Violence. But one thing that was a campaign that they were doing either last year or the year before. But in the campaign, the campaign says love shouldn't hurt. And so if someone tells you they love you, but they're hurting you, then you have to question it because love should not hurt. And so these are all keys that you want to make sure that you're there. And again, the biggest thing is just be there. Be there for her. Be that listening ear. Be that shoulder to cry on. Um, you know, keep you some ace bandages and alcohol wrap, some alcohol preps and peroxide. Just keep it on hand. Because depending on the type of abuse, she's probably gonna need some first aid. Um, don't be afraid to you. She may not want to go to she may not want to go to the hospital because she may be embarrassed. And so, um, find you get you a friend who's a nurse, get you a friend who's a doctor, get you a friend who can come over and they can help. Get somebody who knows CPR, who knows first aid, and or you learn it. And just be there to help her. And at some point, she's going to get her strength and she's going to get her feet under her and she is going to find her way out. If she has not seen the movie enough, And I know these are shameless plugs because I'm not getting a dime from the producers or the directors or the production company that produced enough. But y'all sit down and say, hey, let's watch this movie. And you can let her know. Like, this is what the movie is about. If it's too close to home, we can change it and watch Lilo and Stitch. I don't know. But let her watch the movie. And there's a point in the movie where I believe she can get her strength. I believe she can get her strength. So, again, thank you so much for reaching out to the Steps Edit podcast. That is our show for tonight. So once again, this is the Steps Edit podcast. Thank you all so much for taking the time to jump on and hang out with your boy tonight. For those of you who are out there who are watching the show, if you are a survivor, if you are a breast cancer survivor, if you are a domestic violence survivor, and let me just say, hold on, let me bring my music back down. Domestic violence is not isolated to just women. Men can also be in abusive relationships. And a lot of times it's harder for men to report it than it is for women because it is embarrassing. Not that it's not embarrassing for women. Let me be clear. I'm not saying that it's not embarrassing for women, but as a man, for a man to suffer abuse, it's a lot on the manhood to actually come and say, man, listen, I woke up and this woman was tracing my face with a butter knife. Like, that's not healthy. That's not safe. That's no. And so don't feel like you cannot, um, don't feel like you can't report it. Don't feel like you are without resources to talk to. The same resources that women are provided to talk about their struggles, men have those same resources. And so please, 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 please reach out. Abuse, I'm gonna put this on the screen, Delinda. Abuse is emotional, physical, or it can be emotional, physical, mental, and financial. Okay, I know it's a whole lot of financially abused men. I'm joking. No, I don't know that. I'm not saying that. I don't want to make light of it. But yes, if you are feeling, if something about it just don't feel right, if something about it just, if you leave the situation and you not happy or you depressed, or it's like you feel like you walking on eggshells every time the person comes around because you don't want to trigger them, or you find yourself diminishing who you are because you don't want to trigger them. Anytime you have to have a conversation with yourself to say, don't do this because it's going to trigger them. No, 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 no. That's a bad situation, and you need to reevaluate it. Okay, so I'm going for real this time. This This has been the Steps Edit podcast. Thank you guys again so much for coming to hang out with me. I appreciate you so much. Listen, I'm asking you all, please, please, like, follow, subscribe, and share. Like, follow, subscribe, and share. Like, follow, subscribe, and share. I am Steps Edit across all social media platforms. I'm Steps Edit on Facebook, Steps Edit on Instagram, Steps Edit on YouTube, Steps Edit on TikTok, Steps Edit anywhere that's an online platform. Steps Edit. Thank you all so much. My website is under construction because we're making some changes, but that website will be up very soon. The website is www.stepsedit.com. Also, we have expanded the brand. We have gone from Steps Edit, just the podcast, to Steps Edit Entertainment. That includes event hosting, media production, live sound, all the stuff. Just if you need the resources. Ooh, I got a fly in here that's getting on my nerves. If you need the resources, just give me a call. I'm going to expand this conversation on domestic violence. Um, I'm going to continue the conversation on breast cancer awareness. And I'm also going to get ready to start expanding on next month is also Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. And so I'm looking for some resources. But if you are a survivor and you want to be on the show, please reach out to me. You can inbox me on Facebook or Instagram. You can send me an email at stepsaidit@gmail.com. I would love to have you on the show so you can talk about it and tell your story. I would love to be able to have your collaboration when I have letters coming in, because it's one thing to have the educational expert, but it's something about having the expert that's been through it and survived. You made it out, like John P. Key said, you made it out all right. Those are the ones that I want to talk to as well, because there's space for all of us to collaborate and to put our information out there. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here because I'm hungry. I'm ready to get me something to eat. So once again, thank you guys for tuning in to the Steps Edit podcast. I am Stephen B. I'm here every Monday at 8 o'clock Central Time. And if anybody asks you where you get your information from, you know what to tell them. Steps Edit. Y'all have a good night. We'll see y'all next week.